Hi, and welcome to Probeline, a production of GrassRoots Community Network. We want to thank our generous sponsor that helped make this possible. A&B Bank of Aspen has provided us support for which we are very grateful. Probeline provides you the opportunity to get to know Aspen City Council and mayoral candidates that are running in the March election and want to represent you. Our guest this episode is Torre, who would like to be a council person and seeks your support in the upcoming election. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks. I'd like to start with a question. What does representation mean to you?
Representation is what our government is founded on. That's how I believe in it. That's why I run for these seats. It involves listening to your community, trying to find out what a majority of your community is interested in and what their needs are, and then representing them at the council table and in the decisions that you're making for the best of our community.
You know, how do you deal with, you have strongly held beliefs, but the people you represent may not always share those beliefs?
I mean, that's kind of the balance of life, really. You know, that's not just politics, not just sitting in a council or mayoral seat. You know, I really try to put my own, I come to these issues without an agenda. I'm really trying to represent the best for Aspen. And to be quite honest, oftentimes some of the decisions that I make are not necessarily what I may desire, but it's what I've heard my community wants. You know, I think that's a skill. I think it's a skill that you learn how to do through the years that I've been working on issues and representing the Aspen citizens. You get better at it. And I think some people are better at it than others. But one of the things that I really value in my elected leaders is that ability to not follow a personal agenda, but really represent and listen to the community.
And then but you also in those discussions bring certain values to it. And how do you then get the input from the people you're representing?
Well, it's an everyday process, right? You've got to be out there talking with people, seeking them out. You definitely want to go out of your way to find people that you value their opinions and you value some of their expertise. You know, Aspen is so lucky. We have such an engaged community, a thoughtful community. So you don't have to go too far in order to get really great input, but it does require a little bit of effort on one's behalf. You have to go seek it out.
You know, I was just thinking you have this experience of both being on the council and mayor. How do you remain approachable as opposed to the mayor who sits behind this big desk and high up on the throne?
You know, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I live downtown in the core. You know, I'm out and about all the time. As soon as I walk out my front door, I'm in the community, and I think that that's one of the things that's really a benefit of my service is that I am extremely approachable. I'm extremely available. I make my phone number and my email contacts available at all times, and you know, I think that's just a personality trait, right? Mm-hmm. Some people love to engage. Some people like to have conversations, and sometimes they're difficult conversations. But I think that's a personality trait, and I think that's something that I bring to this table and seek to bring to it again.
Good. Let's play a little game.
Let's play a card game.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
We don't have anything else to do, and I know you're not busy with a campaign or anything.
Or anything like that.
But we have a series of questions to ask. You pick which one you want to go first. Let it be known that Torre picked the middle one closest to him. Why did you come to Aspen?
I came to Aspen, well, I originally had a friend from college, a great friend of mine, Shane Smith, that moved out to Aspen. And so I had visited a couple times. I came out snowboarding and skiing.
When was that?
Early 90s, 90 and 91. You know, I loved Aspen, but mostly I loved the community and the people that I met. I wasn't an avid skier or mountain climber and the like. So I came back through in the summer, and I remember the day. So I arrived at night. I woke up in the next morning. I looked out the window, and I was like, wow, that's like the bluest sky I've ever seen. I took a deep breath. I was like, that is the cleanest air I think I've ever breathed. And then my buddy Shane came into the room and he said, hey, I'm glad you're up. What do you want to do today? Do you want to play tennis or golf or go hiking or biking or hot air ballooning or horseback riding, whitewater rafting, fly fishing? What would you like to do? I was like, and he said, I'm serious. I got to make a phone call. And I said, well, if that's my options, then I think I want to move here.
Right.
And I was supposed to stay for about 3 days. I ended up leaving the very next day and getting my stuff together and moving to Aspen, Colorado.
From?
I was living at the time in San Francisco. So I went back to San Francisco, packed up. My sister was living in Denver at the time, so I ended up staying in Denver for a few months while I got ready to come up the hill, as you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you grew up?
I grew up in Florida. I was born outside of Washington, D.C., in Silver Spring, Maryland, and then I grew up in Florida, spent a little time in New York City, living in Manhattan, then moved out to San Francisco, checking out both coasts, before I moved to Aspen.
Cool.
And it's been home since the day I arrived.
And maybe it goes without saying, but why do you stay now?
Again, the people and the community. Aspen is just an amazing place. And the community and the people that are here have always been amazingly supportive. I think what we have here is kind of unique in all the world. And I am just fully in love with Aspen. And now I am more of an avid skier and snowboarder and more of a outdoors and mountain guy. So, the natural amenities that we have here are unparalleled.
Right. That's great. Okay.
More cards.
Yeah, pick another one.
Right there.
Torre, what role has luck played in your life?
I would say not much. Luck. I don't consider myself to be a very lucky person in the sense of good fortune or winning. I think I make good decisions. I think I create my own luck, if you will. But for me, I think it's not really about chance. It's about choices.
So you feel like you have, I sometimes feel like I've been incredibly lucky, and then in other times that I worked really hard for that. And I guess you're more on the kind of...
I think I've worked hard for just about everything I have,
yeah.
And who I am as well. So yeah, no, I don't think a lot of luck played into it. I think it's been a lot of my upbringing, education, and then the choices that I've made are what I attribute it to.
Yeah.
Where I am. And
what have
who
been
I
some
am.
of those challenges then with...
Well, I mean, here in Aspen, obviously, housing challenges, employment challenges. I recall the first year that I lived here, I often referred to as one of the hardest years of my life. Aspen is a place that you definitely need some adjustment. You have to really learn and grow into being here. So I faced those challenges. Throughout my life, though, my challenge has really been finding my place. As a young boy growing up, and then college years, I was always very interested in working for public good. And, when you're a younger person and you're trying to figure out a career path, perhaps, or doing something that you love for work, where you're going to be living, and all those kind of choices, one thing's always been the constant for me, and that was that I really want to make this world a better place before I leave it. And so that is a driving factor. It's been those challenges to figure out how to be somebody that's that feels self-worth and that feels like I give value to my community. That's been one of the bigger challenges, I think.
Yeah. How did you pursue that as a career? or incorporate that into a career?
Well, I wouldn't call it a career. I mean, you know, the positions that I've held on city council and in the mayor's seat are part-time. They're not really a life-sustaining pay or
Right.
and such. So I've worked those in to be part of what I do. I've worked a number of jobs here in Aspen and have really enjoyed all of that experience. And then I bring some of that experience to the council table. But we were talking before we started filming that, you know, my record is 5-6. I've run 11 campaigns, and I've lost more than I've won. So, you know, that's been a challenge, right?
Yeah.
To stay engaged and to get into office in order to make the positive impact that I think I've been able to do. You know, I feel a dedication and, like I say, a real calling to make this world a better place before I leave it. And so you just keep on pushing through. Yeah. Persistence pays.
Right.
More cards. Right there.
All right. This is a little bit inarticulate question, and I take the blame for it, since I'm articulating it not very well. But I'm curious how you know, as a public servant, and you spend a lot of time in the public spotlight, how do you weave or separate a public and private life?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It's a challenge. It is definitely a challenge. You know, being in the mayor's seat, even more so. You're a real touch point for a lot of people on any and every issue that may come up. So in the last 6 years, I think that I've really given myself over to that, happily as well. I do feel like I do have a private life, and I don't really feel the necessity to kind of separate them too much. It is who I am, and it is what I do. It's also what I really love and enjoy. You know, the tag of being a people person, I'm a people person. I love interaction. It is really what life and living is about for me. You know, what I gain through relationships means the world to me. So,
yeah.
So for me, it's not a big challenge in order to separate, because it is the whole of my life, and I welcome that. So
you're comfortable with, when I was the county manager and was not an elected official but was public, you know, so many of my interactions became a discussion of what the county was doing.
Yeah.
And I'll confess now that after a while, you know, at certain times it got a little tiresome, you know, and I wanted to maybe talk about kids and skiing, and it's difficult to balance that sometimes.
Yeah, you know, I face that at times, but again, you know, my passion is in it.
Yeah.
So engaging on the issues and getting that feedback and input from people when it's convenient for them, it is great.
Yeah.
You know, I really, I have not had many instances where it's been obstructive to whatever I'm trying to do, and I welcome it.
That's great.
I really do.
All right. What's the one thing you wish you knew earlier in your career? Either
wow.
your general career or your public service?
Let's see. I don't know that there is anything. I'm pretty content with where I am and what I've learned and and what I bring to the table currently. Yeah, no regrets. No regrets.
Well, not necessarily regrets, but do you do things differently now that you've been in office in one way or another?
20-something years.
Yeah.
In and out of office. No, I think I'm, because of my experience, I think I understand the issues very thoroughly. So, no, I'm not really doing anything differently. You know, I work hard, but I always have. When I first ran, my first election was, pardon me, in 2001. I ran for mayor. I did months of research and meetings and really diving into the issues as deeply as I can, and I still do that. So no, is there anything that I would have wanted to know back then? No, I guess I would have wanted to know that keep going. The rewards are there at the end. It is gratifying. Maybe I had a question about that in the beginning, if it was just, a lot of labor and not so much love. Mm-hmm. But no, it is. It's very gratifying and rewarding, but it takes a lot of work.
What made you run for mayor? A nice, quiet, private citizen enjoying himself.
There were a couple of issues that were going on in our community back then, and one of them being the proposed straight shot highway into Aspen. Even then, I had reservations about the design that was coming forward. So originally I ran because of issues. I've always considered myself an issue-based candidate. I work very hard on housing for my community, the environment, community building, highway and entrance to Aspen issues. I'm not afraid to tackle the tough decisions that we have in front of us. But that's what got me started, just an interest in working for my community and impacting the issues that affect our quality of life.
Yeah. Great. Pick one. There you go. Tell me about your most recent humbling experience.
My most recent humbling experience. Just this week, some of the work that we do in City Hall, and this week alone, understanding some of the issues. Some citizens have brought their concerns to us, and it's always very humbling to get informed about something, and very humbling to hear somebody else's perspective and to start understanding a little bit of what maybe they're either dealing with, going through, or confronting. And so I would say that, I'm humbled on a daily basis. Probably doing this show right now is the most recent humbling experience.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's there's no problem with being humbled, right? I mean, it's a chance to really understand yourself better, and
right.
This is definitely an opportunity for that. So, it's an everyday thing for me. Really just staying in touch with my community, working hard, going to City Hall, sitting at the desk and doing the work is a very humbling experience.
Yeah.
But gratifying, and I'm grateful for that. Like I said, I think those are great opportunities to really learn about yourself and find out what you're made of and what you have to offer.
Yeah, and to learn and grow. Your understanding develops as you sort of repeat these things.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
We're down to 2 cards.
We are, and we have 3.5 minutes.
That's it?
Oh, 2.
Come on.
It went quickly, didn't it?
It does.
What sets a successful person apart?
I think what sets a successful person apart, and I don't know if I'm answering this the right way or not, but appreciation from others. A successful person is recognized for their work. A successful person is recognized for their good intention. And a successful person is recognized by his peers for being balanced, fair, and working for
10? I thought we had 2 minutes left. We have 12.
We're great.
Yeah, we're doing fine. So that in that sense, it's how you're recognized for success. But how do you, as a person,
become successful? Hard work. Again, this goes back to some of the early conversation we just had. It's not about luck. I've worked hard. I study hard. I learn what I'm doing. I try to get my skills up to a level that I am proud of. So what sets me apart for being a successful person is the hard work that I put in.
Yeah.
Period.
Cool.
This one.
How do you deal with uncertainty?
contemplative concentration. I am a firm believer in the 80-20 rule. 80% of the things that you worry about never even come to pass, but 20% of them are here to get you.
Yeah.
So for me, in the face of uncertainty, I take a moment to really think about whatever factors are going on and try to decide on a clear path and have some clear vision for myself. Weighing pros and cons of decisions, weighing different alternatives and options, and just taking a moment to really focus on end goals and like you said before, and the values that build those goals. So just taking a moment to really think, deep thought.
You know, and so much of what the public sector does has all this predictive uncertainty into it.
Yes.
What's the best guess?
Yes.
And I find that very challenging to figure out how to move forward on that, because those decisions, although they have uncertainty when you make them, become pretty locked in.
Yeah, you know, there's very few decisions that are made at a council table that don't have some sort of downside or negative impact to some degree. So again, you know, what I'm trying to do is evaluate those alternatives, those options, and the path through those to get to the best outcome.
Yeah.
But you know, you're very rarely is it all good in any decision, and that goes for a lot of reasons, because when you're representing a community, there's so many different people and different situations that they're in your community that any decision probably negatively impacts somebody. Mm-hmm. Always trying to make the best decision for the majority of people and Aspen as a whole.
Yeah. How has that process changed over the 20, you have a 20-year perspective on it?
Yeah. I think these days we try to go into decision making with as much information as we can. And the reason I say that maybe changes a little is because over these last 20 plus years, technology and information and data sharing has been refined, has gotten greater. So our ability to tap into that as a resource has gotten greater. And so these days, I think that we're able to get a lot more information about our alternatives and options, and maybe have learned lessons over those 20 plus years about impacts and things that come after a decision is made.
Do you think the community and what it expects from its city council has changed?
Yes, I do. It's maybe a higher stakes game, if you will. You know, again, because of the ability for information sharing, people are very keenly aware of what's going on. And with that awareness, they also are keenly aware of what they need and what they're hoping for. So their expectations, I think, of city council members are to be a little bit more professional in the role than perhaps they used to be. Taking representation to another level of real decision-making for future impacts. We deal with a lot of issues that don't go away. You don't solve them, but you continue to deal with them. You try to make them as good as you can for the community, but they don't ever go away. So I think that, you know, the role of council members and the mayor has become increasingly more not administrative, but logistical in nature, if you will. We're really plotting future decisions. I think maybe 20 years ago and such, there was a shorter term around what decisions were being made. I think we look for a longer term solutions now.
A shorter term, like?
Let's deal with this now. Not necessarily let's deal with this for the next 100 years. Let's deal with this now. You know, housing is one of those things. The housing program here in Aspen was created to deal with a situation that was burgeoning, but already present in the 70s, if you will, in the 80s. And now we're going back and we're looking at the housing program and we're trying to make some decisions for sustainability and longevity in the housing program. Whereas before it was like, well, we know we need housing. Let's get this going. Now we're like, now we need housing, but we need a housing program that's sustainable and has longevity to it for the long haul.
Yeah, what makes it sustainable?
So, some of the funding and the capital expenses that need to happen, the maintenance and the upkeep, deed restrictions, right? So there were previously done deed restrictions that sunset and do end. We don't really look at it on those terms anymore. So we're looking for creating housing that will serve our community for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah. I have another question for you.
Yeah.
You're changing roles by coming back as a council person and the former mayor. What's that going to be like?
I think it would be great. The mayor, in the mayor's seat, you really handle a lot of issues and items on a day-to-day basis. I think a step back to a council role will give me actually more time to focus on some of the issues that are of concern to me. And that is housing, transit, and community building. And so I think it'll be a great opportunity for me to really get back into working on some of the issues a little deeper and not being spread maybe so thin as the mayor is.
Yeah. And the council term is 4 years?
It's a 4-year term.
And the mayor is 2.
2 at a time.
Yeah. Well, that does give you a longer window to think about things.
Yeah, a little bit. But again, like I said, the mayor is the most present touch point for a lot of people. So a lot of my days are taken up by, talking and communicating with the citizenry, and then also spending time in the office, doing things, getting messages out. The mayor handles a lot of requests from the outside, and so it's a very busy position. Council is a little bit less, and I really welcome the opportunity to sit on the council seat and work with the new mayor and the council members that are there.
Yeah, and that's going to be a bit of a challenge to have a new mayor, and then the old mayor is going, I would have done it that way.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't really think that that's a situation that would be something that I would bring to the table. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. The mayor is an all-encompassing endeavor, and so a break after 6 years is welcome for me. But I don't want to not be involved at all. So I'm really seeking this council seat in order to keep working on the issues that are right here, right now.
That's great. I really appreciate you coming in.
I love this session. I appreciate it too. If we can get another half hour, let's just keep on. No.
Well, we'd have to reschedule that for some other time. But it's refreshing to see energy for what you want to do after having done it for 20 years.
Yes, I still do. I still have the passion and the dedication. I enjoy the work. I enjoy my community, and I enjoy representing our community and some of the tough decisions that we have.
That's wonderful. All right. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, you so
Torre.
much.
All right. And that is the end of another session of Probeline, a production of GrassRoots Community Network. And you can support GrassRoots Community Network in a variety of ways. One is to donate online at our website. A second is to volunteer, which is always a joy to be able to do that. And the third would be to produce your own show. We welcome that and ask you to come in and produce a show at some point. So with that, we conclude another session of Probeline. Thank you very much, and no Aspen, watch GrassRoots.